property management. And what does that mean? If you have a property, how are you managing it? Have you automated? What are the benefits of automating your property and your property management? And that's what we'll be discussing through the day or through the 2 hours of the show. So please pop up the volume, get yourself some coffee, some tea. Of course, the music is great. Producer is here getting all psyched up to make sure that your music is going to be definitely amazing. So let's get back to the music. When we come back, we definitely know who Paul Macharia is, what is key autopay, and what is automating property management. For now, let's go back to the music.
Watetema kila unaponikumbatia, wengi wa kupigania, jusura nayo kabarikiwa, figa yako ya kishua, busu nalo halua, wengi wanigombanisha, jumoyo wako nimeuteka, fikira zako nitazilinda, hisia zako nitazichunga, na wakiwashwa na penzi waambie tunapendana, mimi na wewe, kesi baadaye, hatutoachana, mimi na wewe, hata waseme Usisumbuliwe na mazungumzo ya ndoa, eti ni lini atakuoa, ni lini mtaishi pamoja. No, mimi kama mwanaume nimejitolea, usitishwe na vyaelea, na vyetu vimekolea. Baby love, usiwe na hofu, manake mina kupenda, mawazo mengi baby yasikusumbue. Mahari mimi nitalipa, watoto penzi tutalea, na wakiwashwa na penzi waambie tunapendana, mimi na wewe, kesi baadaye, hatutoachana, mimi na wewe, hata waseme mimi na wewe hatutatengana, kwa dhiki na faraja tutapendana, na hata waseme hatutakosana, tutapendana, mimi na wewe, kesi baadaye, hatutoachana, mimi na wewe, hata waseme
All right, that is Modest Chabari with the song Mimi No Where, was done by for Eric Wenaina, Sauti Soul and Shamir, coming up in a bit. But I'm excited to be having Paul Macharia, the CEO of KANG'ETHE, right here on Icon Radio, your number one entertainment plug. It is Money Mondays, and today we'll be talking about property management. I know that some of you are landlords somewhere, and how do you manage your property? A new data or research by KANG'ETHE says that Kenyan landlords and property managers are losing 30% of revenue monthly due to lack of automation. So the latest data also indicates that landlords and property managers are losing money due to the inability to track and properly reconcile tenants' payments from different channels such as mobile money, banking, agent payments, and even banking payments. So according to the report, property owners and agents also lose critical data such as tenant statements, financial records, complaints, repair, and maintenance data, which is critical to improving quality of service they give to their tenants. And I'm so excited to have KANG'ETHE Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Paul Macharia, who's also the founder of the company. Thank you so much for coming to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
KANG'ETHE,
Yes, yes.
I'm excited.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
We're also very excited that you're here with us. Let's talk about property automation.
Okay.
I know for a fact that a lot of property guys don't understand automation.
Yeah.
They're always like, nitumia, former landlords, nitumia pesa hapa, or if they want to start. If they want us to pay via the phone, it's normally a struggle.
Yeah.
And most actually landlords have agents. Yeah. So I always wonder, do they always get their money? Where do they have agents in the first place? Is it because they are unable to, because they are unable to take care of, manage the property well, and now they need an agent? They're too busy. How do they know which client has paid what? Sometimes a client pays late, a client pays early. Why is automation in the property management important?
Okay. So when we talk about automation, ideally looking at automation in the entire property space, because it's not only in the management phase. Automation is both in sales and marketing phase, it's on the build and design phase,
yes,
and it's actually now in the management phase.
Yeah.
So how we look at it ourselves is that we both operating towards the context of property management. And property management, we focus on two key areas of automation. One of them is on payment automation.
Yes.
So what do we mean with payment automation? So we look at both how the payments are tracked and how they are reconciled, and how the reporting of the same is done.
Yes.
And the other thing is that we look at now all these other business processes that involve what we call normal management.
Yes.
Management begins on the way on how do you bring tenants into the building.
Yeah.
So how do you screen them? How do you verify them? How do you verify their historical, either the payment behavior, and even how the suitability in living within your property. And then after that, now it goes to how do you do like the lease automation. So instead of doing lease by lease, are you able to automate that process? Whether you're using templates, whether you're using an automated method to create these leases for the tenant.
Yeah.
And then all the way, how do you track these leases on the expiry date, the days of renewal, and so forth.
Yes.
Then after this phase, you look at the normal engagement now with the tenants. Are there conversations that are going on? So how do you mediate that kind of communication in between, in the course of time when they're living within your premises?
Yeah.
So you're looking at how do you communicate them? Do you have enough channels? Can you do it via SMS? Can you do it via emails? Can you do it via things like conversational other methods like WhatsApp and so forth?
Yeah.
And then after that, you're looking at how quickly do you address their concern. So whether it's a maintenance issue, whether it's a complaint, whether it's a compliment.
Yeah.
So are you flexible enough to be able to respond to these emerging needs? And finally, you're looking at now in terms of how do you transfer them to different units? How do you vacate them from the property? So ideally looking at that entire journey of the tenants within your property.
Yeah.
And that's where automation plays in. So so that is to do with management.
Yeah.
But that having been said, we have other areas of automation, like how do you actually get the tenants to come in? One of the, like you've asked why ideally the property owners would go even for agents. And one of the critical things they try to do is that they want to be able to ensure that their properties have proper occupancy. So they want to ensure that they are getting a pipeline of tenants coming into the building.
Yes.
And there are particular ways in which innovation or technology is able to make this process more efficient. So whether it's in terms of automated listing on listing websites, whether it's in terms of how this kind of engagement with potential tenants is done. And this is where people employ technologies like augmented reality. Basically, what that means is that you're able to give a remote experience to a potential tenant. They can virtually walk into the property, see the different dimensions of the property, gauge the suitability.
Yes.
Whether you're looking with issues with natural light, whether you're looking at issues with how the different rooms are placed, what ideally a tenant might term as a suitable sitting room,
yes,
space and so forth.
Yeah.
So it's an interactive way remotely for the tenants to be able to experience potentially how it would feel if they were to rent out that space. So that is what happens at that phase. But again, that is not even the end of technology. It happens also in the building and design phase. So there are unconventional, whether it's a building materials that are getting applied, and whether again it's in terms of how do you achieve an optimum design and so forth. And now that after the getting of the tenants, the design phase, there isn't now the actual utility management. So there are technologies again that have been employed on that space, whether it's the smart metering both for water and for power. This is where you allow for remote monitoring and control of these utilities.
Yeah.
And what this achieves is that like as I would speak about KANG'ETHE, is that we're able to make use of these different technologies. Like we integrate with this smart metering to ensure proper monitoring so that you reduce the complaints with the tenants on issues of power consumption, water consumption.
I'm having such troubles right now at premises where I have a business, and it got to a point where, you know, electricity was cut by the KPLC because we have been paying the agents and the agents have not been transferring the money. And now we had to have a meeting with the landlord and tell them, yo, what's going on, man? You know, we pay you. Why, you tell us to pay the agents this. Why are we not getting the money? Why are we not getting those services? And I think it's that seamless. I think it's a very important thing that you've said that needs to be looked at. But before we get and dive deep into the company, tell us more about yourself. Like, how did you come up with this company? What made you come up with this company? Was it a need? What were you trying to solve when you started?
Okay. So my background is in real estate. I was in real estate for about 7 years. Ideally in very different
aspects of real estate.
So I have been in management, I've been in sales and marketing for it as well. There's a time I was part of the building team. Yeah. So I got that whole spectrum of how the industry operates, just being able to see the different components and how they apply with each other.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I noticed in my course of work is that there was a huge mismatch between the demand side being the development phase and all that, the supply side where it's either the property is being sold, it's being let out to potential tenants.
Yes.
And then 2020 COVID hit. And one of the things that COVID revealed is how unprepared real estate was to cope with automation.
Yes.
Because all of a sudden people couldn't work in physical bank branch to go and deposit their money and so forth.
And get a sleep. First of all, why? They needed sleep. Like bank sleeps. I'm like, why? Yeah.
Exactly. I'll tell you why that happens. So all of a sudden, there were property owners and managers who met themselves in a very complex place. Yeah. Because all of a sudden, they need to be able to confirm whether people have paid and people have paid to the right account. Because of course, all manner of things happens because we have quite a number of also unfaithful tenants who will either present a receipt that is not accurate or send out a message that is not accurate and so forth. Yeah. So there was a need to make the payment methods convenient for the tenants as well as convenience for whoever is managing the property. Yeah. And I'll talk about where I used to live back then because I was a tenant. So I ideally, my landlord approaches me and tells me I have this problem that I'm facing. It's COVID. You know, you guys used to pay to one particular bank account. It's no longer visible. I have to allow people to pay easily using their mobile phones. How do I achieve this?
Wow.
And this was not just a problem he was facing with the property I was living in. He was facing it with 6 other properties.
Oh.
So reconciling property payments that have been made through different methods, 6 different properties,
yes,
an average of 70 tenants, it was quite difficult for them. So initially, I was making these solutions for a very specific individual, specific business, and then I realized
it's a problem.
Yeah,
everywhere.
it's a problem everywhere.
Yeah.
And again, now just going back to my experience in real estate and asking myself how comes so much property. Properties are getting developed over time. But we don't have any effect in terms of affordability, in terms of how much they have been priced, or in terms of even occupancy. And being able, just looking at that disjoint between the two, and I realize it's an opportunity, because someone might look at it as a problem, but for us, that's a great opportunity that can be utilized.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. That you look at problems as opportunities, and that's what entrepreneurs do in this country. If you have any questions, you know where to find us on all our social media handles, Icon Radio KE, and all our platforms. Let's go back to the music. Coming right up is Eric Onana with the song Mama Luca, and when we come back, more about automation of property management.
Mama Luca, yule igweta inene, we umwe wale, makire kurale. Muke handa, mahoa mehakaine, muke rutolora, uko marimaine. Nasianyo, ukisigaera kehara, yagutengera, udakamufira. Newadekirwo, wera wadirikari, ururi mwethe, waihorete myeke. Watunyirwa wera na pesa sialitaya, na nyumba yako nirahulirwa munara. Nyohora wakia hamono, kono gesuro sasiakuro digoine. What the alright, alright, alright. Oh, and I was sitting in a corner, just minding my business, and that is when I saw her, looking like a goddess. Told her, can I get your name and your number and where you come from? Yeah. But before you do all that, let me tell you something about me. I love some reggae music and she said me too. I like to burn some cess and she said me too. Born and raised in Nairobi and she said me too. Okay, sipendi watu sticky and she said me too. Sipendi watu tricky and she said me too. Can I get some more drinks and she said me too. Okay, well it seems like you and I have a lot of things in common, and maybe we can go somewhere after this. Don't worry yourself, my girl, you'll be safe with me, no. But before I go too far, let me start once again from the top. I love some reggae music and she said me too. I like to burn some cess and she said me too. Born and raised in Nairobi and she said me too. Okay, sipendi watu sticky and she said me too. Sipendi watu tricky and she said me too. Can I get some more drinks and she said me too. Okay, ni kama tunaelewana, iko sawa, iko sawa. 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 I love some reggae music and she said me too. I like to burn some cess and she said me too. Born and raised in Nairobi and she said me too. Okay, sipendi watu sticky and she said me too. Sipendi watu tricky and she said me too. Can I get some more drinks and she said me too. Okay, I love some reggae music and she said me too. I like to burn some cess and she said me too. Born and raised in Nairobi and she said me too. Okay, sipendi watu sticky and she said me too. Sipendi watu tricky and she said me too. Can I get some more drinks and she said me too. Okay,
Oh, it's Me Too by Shamir, play right here on Icon Radio, #1 entertainment plug. It's Money Mondays. Hang out with me, KANG'ETHE NJOROGE. Thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, we are talking about automating property management. Hang out with Paul Macharia from KANG'ETHE, just discussing about what are the nitty-gritties of property management. I'm very excited that I love listening to entrepreneur stories and how they started. And yours started as you were trying to solve a problem, yeah. And then how did you you were employed then, and you've been working the real estate for a long.
Yes.
When did you decide this is the time for me to now venture into this idea? Because it was just an idea for you.
Yes.
You were trying to solve a problem for a client.
Yeah.
So how did it become this big?
Okay. So like I mentioned initially, it was just to solve a problem for an individual client.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened is that over time, I started getting referrals.
Yeah.
So I would do it for one client, then I'll get another one, then
Mm-hmm.
I'll get another one. Before long, I realized, it took me a bit of time before I thought that.
How long did it take?
It took me close to 7 months to actually realize now that
There's a problem.
There's a problem that needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to, so what I did is I took a bit of time just to understand the breadth and the width of the problem that I was facing.
Mm-hmm.
So initially they came with the problem being the payment. But again, I realized very quickly, for me to be able to properly address the payment problem, I had to look at things that happen pre the payment phase and post the payment phase. Because payment is a singular component that have been able to address the needs of these property owners and managers. Ideally, technically, for me to be able, I pay against a bill. like a tenant will pay against an potential invoice for, let's say, rent, or water, for service charge, and so forth.
Yeah.
And after that, after you've done that, the reconciliation bit for the property owner, you might need to see an end report at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that's when I realized. When I realized that, I made what we call minimum viable product, like initial product, and then I got convinced that there's actually business in it. And after the 7 months, I decided, why not venture into full-time business in this sense?
Yeah, just hold up. How did you create an MVP, or how do you create a minimum viable product?
So thinking about an MVP, you could take different approaches. One of the approaches is usually that you have to narrow down on a singular problem. It might have different components, but you have to look at, and that's why it's a minimum viable product. You always have to ensure that you don't overcreate without a need. You want to address a problem or address a need, but with a very specific solution.
Yeah.
You don't want to have a solution that is made out of perception or out of ideally an imagined problem that exists out there. So I was very careful not to immerse myself in too much.
Yes.
Because after that, when it's that minimum viable, when it's that singular solution that you created, then you're able to test the different aspects of it, and you can actually get feedback out of it.
Yeah.
But for instance, if I create a product and I'm calling it an MVP, and it has, let's say, 20 or 30 features, it becomes very hard to be able to narrow down to the actual
or to solve
problem,
a specific problem
that people are facing.
Yeah.
I'm not able to test it enough, because one of the key components of an MVP, it has to be subjected to constant test,
review,
and you keep iterating around it.
Yeah.
So like you keep building blocks on top of it.
Yeah.
And you can't do that to a 20, 30 feature product. Yeah.
Okay. So you have to create a minimum viable product.
Yeah.
And then you test it in the market.
Yes.
How long do you take to test your idea?
Technically, I would say it's close to a year, because what happens is that after an MVP, for the next stage that you'd ideally call like a proper market fit product, because after an MVP you go to a market fit product, it takes a bit of time. I wouldn't say 100% that I'm out of MVP stage.
Yeah.
Because technically, what happens is that after you get that MVP, you have to constantly test it and iterate. So you test it and make some changes. You test it and improve on some things. So you continue refining your product as you're getting more customers.
Yes.
So technically, you're getting more validation. So you're getting more confirmation from the market that actually what you've created is suitable for their needs.
Yes.
So that's a phase that takes a bit of time until, let's say, you have that product that you'll term as a market fit product. And a market fit product is a product that has a sizable market adoption. So that means you're not talking about 100 clients, 200, probably you're talking about 500, 1,000 clients, and so forth. So it's a journey that you take. Technically, the MVP of 3 months cannot compare it to an MVP of 1 year later. So we're still in that phase of we keep iterating, keep understanding our client needs.
Yeah.
And again, even talking about the report that we've come up with, is part of the learnings that we've got. We've started our own data first, even before we reached out to potential clients. We had to look at our existing clients and try and draw lessons and try and utilize that data and draw learnings from it. Because these are the learnings that keep informing us. What do we need to tweak? What do we need to improve? What do we need to do away with? Where do we need to give more attention?
Oh, nice. So it's just you don't come up with an idea like this and go to the market. It has to go through a lot of hurdles and a lot of understanding of the market. What has been the craziest thing about your journey in terms of bringing this idea to fruition?
I think the craziest idea was that I really never understood the market. Like, one of the things I'll tell you about is that, and I know you mentioned about it, we have two kind of clients. We have a property manager, and then we have a property owner. So you will understand that there's a component, there's a part of this clientele, like property owners who don't want anything to do with the property. So for them, let's say they have a day job they've taken an executive somewhere else, an employee somewhere. On the side, they have a property which they have set up, and they have given it in the hands of manager to manage it.
So then they just want their numbers. Where's my money?
Yeah. For them, they don't want anything else.
Yeah.
They want least involvement into the running of day-to-day yes activities of the property. But yet we have another clientele who wants to manage for themselves, like they're hands-on. That's their core business. That's what they do on a day-to-day basis. Part of them tend to be developers, so they're always developing property and letting it out. So we had to appreciate those kind of difference that exist in the market. So we needed to place ourselves in an area whereby we're able to address the needs of the specific groups that exist in the market. Because yes, we've narrowed down, we've said property management is our bread and butter. But how do we actually satisfy or meet the needs of our client? So initially I thought it's a fit for all people, and then I quickly realized it's not. Because sometimes even the messaging is different.
Yes, it is.
Because the things that will excite a potential property owner who is managing for themselves, and other things that will excite a property manager. So you have to really understand that. And sometimes people have to choose between who are you going to serve. But we felt that we still had quite a number of similarities between the two groups. We said, why not solve both of the needs that exist? I mean, needs for the two clientele. And that has been the journey. That is one of the key areas that surprised us. And definitely we realized that automation is a very, very strange word to most of the property people. I mean,
they hear automation. What do they hear when they hear the name automation?
People have a tendency to just fold their hands a bit more.
They feel like they're losing something.
They feel like they're losing something. They feel like they're losing control.
They
feel like they're having unnecessary exposure. They feel like
actually, I get. So, I mean, how easy or how hard was it to get your first customer? Or you already had one?
First customer wasn't hard. I would say the hardest thing was now we began the journey of scaling. So now we want to go beyond that referral that you're getting on one side. So we want to get it a bit more advanced. So that's when it began becoming us realizing now we need to think about how we are messaging this so that these property owners and managers can understand in the language that they're familiar with. That is why we had to look down to the nitty-gritty of what does this system involved, what does technology adoption mean for them. Now it's just being able to identify those key and tangible things that the system can do, and sometimes actually walking through them that journey and being able to tell them that today if you're to use KyotaPay to do your leases as opposed to doing your manual leases, this is what would happen. Today if you are using KyotaPay to be able to kind of foster the relationship between the tenant and you, these are the achievements. So these are actually the benefit that you're getting out of it. So inversely, if you're not using KyotaPay, this is how much you're losing. These are the dangers or the risk that you're exposing yourself to. So we had now to narrow it down to not just the feature, but the effect and the impact it's having.
I think that was the most important. Just showing people that this is the impact of you not automating.
Yes.
So you of course now scaling was hard because now you needed to decide how to scale. Are you going to scale for property managers? Have you ever felt like you need to choose either or in your journey? For example, either a property manager or a property owner. Have you ever felt like you need to choose either or?
I would say we haven't really felt that push to choose between the two. Because technically what we've been doing is that we've been looking at the management aspect. So at the end of the day for us, it's who is managing this property. So of course we have quite a number of clients, property managers, but we never care to know about their property owners. Because for them, the property is being led or being managed by that property manager. But again, we have another category where it's the property owner. So for the property owner, he's the one who's doing the actual management. So that becomes our person of interest. So even in cases where we will go to like property owners and they tell us, you know what, I've given out that work to a property manager. So we'll tell them, okay, that is okay. Can you introduce us to the property manager? So we are possible now, then we're able to talk to that property manager. But we and the way to disrupt the market, the way to innovate the market is not actually to completely do away with certain things. It's to be able to understand what happens and make it more efficient. So we are not after changing how things happen, but we're after you improving how things happen using the existing framework.
Interesting. And more is coming right up. Let's go back to the music coming up. It's Uti Soul featuring Soul Generation of the same week Bali. Wire is also coming up with the Chananayo. And of course some great music from Otile Brown and Nadia Mukami. Enjoy this right here on Icon Radio, your number one entertainment plug.
Tulianza mwaka tukiwa wengi, wengine hawakumaliza. Tukapanga nayo mipango mingi, lakini chache zikatimizwa. Sasa sherehe kwa chache, wengine kwa paa. Count your blessings vile inafaa. Ya Mola ni mengi, shetani hawezi pangua.
Salamu kwako mama, Nairobi kuko sawa. Nilipatana na vijana, tukaimba extravaganza. Kristo lakajulikana, asante Maulana. Haki ningeweza mama, nifungue macho nikuone.
Kiwa mbali, moja natamani, sijui nitafanyeje, Krismasi nile na wewe. Kiwa mbali, moja natamani, sijui nitafanyeje, nivuke mwaka na wewe. Huwezi kuwa na sherehe bila wewe, penzi harakisha usichelewe. Nilizaliwa Disemba kama wewe, njoo nipembeleze. Moyoni ni mengi ninatarajia, that I will give it all mbinguni na dunia. Ili niwe na wewe muda unawadia, njoo nile rumba na wewe. Timing imeharibiwa na kazi, na sijui nitafanyaje. Nichome moja na wewe, niko grinding na nimekushikia zawadi. Yani sijui nitafikaje, ningependa nikupe mwenyewe. Nikiwa mbali, moja natamani, sijui nitafanyeje, Krismasi nile na wewe. Ukiwa mbali, moja natamani, sijui nitafanyeje, nivuke mwaka na wewe. Anywhere you are is home. Naomba Krismasi nile na wewe. Anywhere you are is home. Naomba Krismasi nile na wewe. Ukiwa mbali, natamani, sijui nitafanyeje, Krismasi nile na wewe. Ukiwa mbali, natamani, sijui nitafanyeje, nivuke mwaka na wewe. Moja natamani, nivuke mwaka na wewe.
Lion, achana now, yeah. Baby, I tell her now, I tell her now. Tell them that you know what we be all about. I tell her now, I tell her now. I want to move anywhere when I meet that we found. Baby, I tell her now, I tell her now. Tell them that you know what we be all about. I tell her now, I tell her now. I want to move anywhere when I meet that we found. It's been about 5 years when they come to my door. Kisa kanya loving that you never seen before. Mapenzi ulitaka nikakuongeza more. How many picking me that you want 3 or 4? Careful what you hear about. But I know what they come and step in our own. Chatty chatty but them now know what we all about. A bag of long talking is what them all about. Them run them out. Silly I tell her now, I tell her now. Tell them that you know what we be all about. I tell her now, I tell her now. I want to move anywhere when I meet that we found. Baby I tell her now, I tell her now. Tell them that you know what we be all about. I tell her now, I tell her now. I want to move anywhere when I meet that we found. Watabonga, usiku ukifika ndio watalala. Watabonga, usiku ukifika ndio watalala. Wakidani werevu kumbe ni mafala. Kati yangu na wewe ndio alitazama. Baby tucheki mbele wachana ya jana. One power no man can put us asunder. Baby I tell her now, I tell her now. Tell them that you know what we be all about. I tell her now, I tell her now. I want to move anywhere when I meet that we found. Baby I tell her now, I tell her now. Tell them that you know what we be all about. I tell her now, I tell her now. I want to move anywhere when I meet that we found. It's been about 5 years when they come to my door. Kisa kanya loving that you never seen before. Mapenzi ulitaka nikakuongeza more. How many picking me that you want 3 or 4? Careful what you hear about. Bad mind now want to come and step in our own. Chatty chatty but them now know what we all about. A bag of long talking is what them all about. Them run them out. Silly I tell her now, I tell her now. Tell them that you know what we be all about. I tell her now, I tell her now. I want to move anywhere when I meet that we found. Baby I tell her now, I tell her now. Tell them that you know what we be all about. I tell her now.
Shikamani, ukipendwa pendeka. Oh my babe, nikupe nini my love?
Kwako mimi sioni wala sisiki kabisa, siwezi kuambilika. Nikupe nini my love?
Na Mungu kaumba sana, mapenzi matamu so kifani. Mapenzi yamenikola dia.
Nahisi raha nikiwa nawe, nani mwingine kaso wewe? Oh baby, I don't want nobody else but you.
Girl, you make me sing. My sugar, my love. My sugar, my love. My sugar, my love.
Boy, you make me sing. My sugar, my lover. My sugar, my love. My sugar, my love. Moyo wangu na wasikudanganye, kuna tae kupenda bora. Niamini mpenzi wangu we. You be running my mind every day and night, wewe namba moja. Niamini, niamini.
Girl, I like you when you do it like that. When you dance it, then you throw it right back. It's a mama kando yako, baby ajitamati. Na Mungu kaumba brother.
Oh yeah, that is amazing song by Otile Brown and Nadia Mukami. Playing right here on Icon Radio, your number one entertainment flag. Hang out with me, KANG'ETHE NJOROGE. It is Mondays. I hope you're tuned in. You have a pen, you have a paper, you have questions, because it is getting so hot inside here. If you want to be an entrepreneur, this is a show to be in. And I'm hanging out with the CEO and founder of KANG'ETHE, a property management automation company that helps property managers and landlords automate their services so that they're able to get the best results from what they are selling. And we're very excited to be talking about this because it comes at a time where there's a lot of investment going on in real estate in Kenya and of course in the rest of Africa. I saw in a report that you say that a lot of money is being put up. Over $144 billion is being put up in Africa in property. How is this? And I know that all this are going to be your clients at some point, but what does this mean for your business?
Okay. So I think in terms of looking at the commitment being made in the industry, and real estate has been growing for quite some time.
Yeah.
This was even pre-COVID areas. In fact, I would say we're still recovering. We're still in a recovery stage
from COVID. Yeah.
But considerably over the decade, it has been a large contributor to the country's GDP. Again, last year, I think the growth was about 6.5. Its contribution to GDP. Yeah. And this has continued to increase over time, majorly due to the high rate of urbanization. And being about 4.4% against a global average of about 2.5%. So these are migration happening to Kenyan cities every other day. Yeah. Then you look at improvements, both the infrastructure, so in terms of, again, the laying out of the utility infrastructure, both what is directly attributable to property and as a support service to the industry as well. Yeah. So again, we have a rise in the middle class population, especially in African cities, in Kenyan cities. That means that more disposable income for people. So more and more people are demanding better places to live in, safer spaces to exist in. They're demanding better value for their money. And this has led to more investment towards sector in property development, to be very specific. Yeah. And this again points out to the potential that lies in the industry. And for us, like I said, we're looking at this both as an opportunity, as also as a chance to be able to contribute to this growth that is happening. So why I quoted that report was in order to be able to show between how much investment is being made and an existing gap that exists. Remember, in a country like Kenya, we have an annual shortfall of around 200,000 units, housing units every year.
That statistic has been said since I started journalism. More than 5 years ago. Yeah. I'm sure it has gone up.
So what happens? So sure. There are two aspects of it. Of course, there's an accumulated deficit of more than 2 million, which most people don't speak about. And there's that annual deficit that keeps accumulating over time. And what has happened is, because we've not been able to both grow our capacity in terms of the uptake of the houses, our uptake is still way lesser than 50,000 units per year. Yeah. And largely is because of this, either the financial leakages, either the mismatch between demand and supply. Because I would imagine it would be in a better space, better phase, if we were talking about an average occupancy of, let's say, 90-95%. Yeah. So it justifies us to have a shortfall in terms of the housing adoption. But now we're talking about an average occupancy of, let's say, in 60s and mid-60s and so forth, 60%, which is way below the optimum level that we're supposed to be enjoying as a nation that has a huge demand for this housing. Yeah. So this is a kind of this mismatch.
There's a mismatch. Is a mismatch about developers developing properties that do not resonate with the Kenyans or do not resonate with their tenants? Or is there a mismatch? Where is the mismatch? Because I've seen a lot of reports also in the real estate talking about a lot of developers developing properties that the market does not need. There's a lot of commercial properties that are still unoccupied in places like Kilimani and places in Nairobi that people still do not need this offices. Where do you draw the line?
I would say, so according to us, the largest contributor of this mismatch is paucity of data. Paucity of data basically means there's no enough accurate data to be able to guide the decision making in terms of where do we construct, what kind of a house do we construct, and so forth. And because most of the property data lives in physical books, it's in that physical research. It's threw under the carpet.
Yes.
I mean, it's not. The industry is not yet properly automated in terms of we don't have very accurate data. And I think it's not only a Kenyan problem, but it's actually an African problem. And that's why we sometimes look at it from an African perspective. Because of this, what happens is that now the property developers will rely on data which is either not accurate, it's either not sufficient sample sizes to rely on. So they end up either not properly meeting the customer demand that exists. And that's why even for particular, if you look at again even the uptake of houses for sale, I mean, you find the developers are doing so well, but the others are doing too bad. And it's not always about a competition based on price. No. It's always about how accurately are you able to predict a demand that exists. Both houses for sale or even for rental space. So, and that is why we thought the engine of data, the greatest engine of data is on the consumption side or the demand side. That is where the tenants are. Because my decision to pick where I'm going to live, what kind of a house I'm going to live in, has a lot of intelligence in it. Because I'm talking about my affordability when I choose where to live in. I'm talking about my preference in terms of location. I'm talking about my preference in terms of whether it's a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom, DSQ and so forth. So there's a lot of data and accurate data that I can present by a mere choice of which property am I going to live in. And that is where we thought this is one of the most important areas for us to plug in. Because once we plug in here, then we're able to churn out data that can be very useful, not just for these managers of these properties or these owners, but even for the developers in the long term. And that's why every day we have a new clients, and every day we continue serving this market. We're getting more intelligent, we're getting more refined data, we're getting better analytics. And that's why perhaps it has taken us like 2 years to make a conclusion that there's a loss of 31%. Because we don't want just to do assumptions based on what you've asked a few people, but we want this data to be supported by real experience of tenants who are not at a case of being studied to, what do you think it is? But we can actually look at what are they doing, what are they spending on, how much are they paying for rent, where are they living in, what is the occupancy like in those locations, and then I'll be able to make such conclusion.
You say that they lose 30% or probably 31%. How do property managers and landlords or property owners lose this 30%? Because 30% is a lot of money, man. It's a lot of money.
So we look at it from two ways. We are looking at it both from how much are they able to collect at the end of the day. So if they're able to correct, let's say if they're able to correct like 60%, they would have collected 73%. So that means that there's a 13% failure to collect or potential loss of money. And then the other phase we're looking at it is that these inefficiencies that exist, whether it's a long pricing for repairs, whether it's fraud that exists in the management of this property, whether they're looking at losses to to do with power consumptions, water wastage, and so forth. So we're both looking at the inefficiencies that exist in the management process. We're also looking at the direct payments. So why are they bold? Because of late collection, late invoicing, inaccuracy invoicing, loss of financial records. Basically, like financial records, we're talking about arrears.
Yeah.
Sometimes you will get surprised that for you, if you asked your property manager to give you a tenant statement today, they get stranded. Well, sometimes they can't tell you how much you've paid and how much you've paid.
Yeah.
So in some cases, you find there are months that some tenants go without paying. You find there are people who end up not paying because either they presented a receipt that was not accurate, or not have been verified.
There was a story where a guy was just sending M-Pesa messages showing, I paid through M-Pesa. But he hadn't paid for almost, I don't know how many years. So just changing the dates and the times, and and because probably you have a lot of houses.
Yeah, and transactions as well. Yeah.
So you don't see it. It was very shocking for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's us looking at how much, studying our clients and even some of the clients that we've had over time, and looking at how much have they improved their collection at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So if you are collecting 200,000 before Kyoto Pay, how much are you collecting today?
Now, yeah.
So we are talking about this is actual feedback from the market. Something that we've seen it with our clients. Studying how much they're collecting today vis-a-vis what they were collecting before
you
their process was automated.
Yeah.
And then again looking at how much, for instance, today out of your collection of 1 million, let's say you're spending 200 to maintain this property.
Yeah.
That is either on maintenance, either paying the common area, electricity and water and so forth, paying for security and so forth. So us making this process efficient, we're making sure first the tenants that you're getting are tenants who have been screened.
Yeah.
You will not get fraudsters. You will not get people that either are going to come in your property for 1 month and then stay for 2 months without paying and then disappear. So these are the loopholes that we sealed, and then we tracked the impact that it was having on the actual cash flows for these properties. And we realized eliminating these inefficiencies was able to give us an 18% increase. And combined, we're able to save an entire 31% for these property businesses using our system.
Wow. Yeah. And probably you're going to save more as you go to figure out.
Yeah.
As you figure out.
Exactly. In fact, is the more we continue narrowing down in terms of being able to seal these loopholes that exist, the more we're able to make this process even much more efficient. The way we're able to bridge this gap that exists between demand and supply, that means we're able to save more. Who knows? Maybe we'll be saving 50% for them in the long run.
Awesome. What has been the biggest challenge in terms of getting the clientele to accept this idea? Do you ever have problems? I know that you've been talking about getting a bit of referrals, but do you have other problems of when you go to a property manager that has no idea who you are and you're telling them this? What has been the major problem in uptake of your product?
I think it's both. It's both sometimes from the management phase, because I would say, and especially residential management, if you agree with me, it's not an area that people have given a lot of attention to. Unfortunately, there's some properties that have been properly developed. A lot of investment has been put into it. But then you look at on the management side, no much investment. Like a typical, you find that in some cases we have people who do not even know their tenant's name, leave alone their balances. They know their tenant's name, they don't know. Or rather, even a property owner has given this property to an individual who is not, quote unquote, even a qualified property manager. So this person doesn't have accurate data with him. He doesn't know how much people have paid. He doesn't have real-time and accurate details on the balances, on the tenant details. This is the same way they're not able to take care of the needs of these tenants. So there's a ripple effect in terms of how well these tenants are satisfied. You find because the satisfaction levels come down significantly, and eventually they have an impact on the occupancy levels. So you find a property is struggling to maintain even 50% occupancy, but it's just based on how the management has been done. So being able now to deal with such a client and onboard them is also trouble for us, because for us, I mean, it's a computer system. At the end of the day, it's what you get in is what you get out. So we also rely on the accurate details for us to be able to make this process more efficient. So we will come in a typical, let's say, managing office, and then we realize either we don't have details, we realize either they don't have proper connectivity and all these things, and sometimes they don't know the importance of it. So we, in some sense, have to also do a lot of customer education in terms of being able to make them understand what are the proper ways of actually doing the management and so forth. So that has been one of the capacity that we've had been to build. We have had to build over time, because we are not technically managers, but we had to learn how the management process takes place, and even where possible, get people to help us, work along that, and get those people that's being part of our team, so that you can keep giving this constant feedback to our client. That is one of them. The other one is basically just the general real estate not appreciating technology.
Is it of the old folks? Is it because there's a lot of old folks in real estate, or as we said, they feel like they are gonna lose something?
But I think part of it is culture. There's a lot of it that is changing, however, because of course there's a generational change. So we have more property now at the hands of young beneficiaries and so forth. We also have people now, because of other areas that have adopted technology. You find someone is asking them, okay, how can I utilize? Maybe have understood technology on WhatsApp. Can I make use of it here in Kyoto Pay? So we have more and more people now being able to draw lessons elsewhere, and they can understand when you talk to them technology, but again you have to come to their specific language. So that has been a bit of a barrier, and we also, as we refine on the product, also refining on the approach. So we are becoming better at being able to speak to these clients in a language that they understand.
It's a very serious learning curve. It's not like one day you launched and here you are.
Sure.
Just tell us more about the specs of your is it an app or a platform? More specs about your platform. What can your platform do in terms of managing property?
Okay. So primarily we are a web-based platform, and what we do is that we mirror the entire interaction of the property manager, the property owner, but now on the platform. So we look at, like I mentioned, we're looking at the entire process end to end. We actually call ourselves an end-to-end platform for property management. So where we begin at, of course, is how are these property managers or even property owners getting tenants. So what we've done that is that we integrate with listing sites. So listing sites are these websites that
Buy Rent Kenya,
and so forth. So what we've done to make sure that our clients are getting a pool of potential tenants is that we're able to make now that process very accurate. Instead of them having to manually go to that listing site and post, we've done an integration with the listing site, so that every time a house has gone vacant, it automatically shows up into a listing site. So that means that their properties are always being exposed to potential tenants out there. So that's the first phase of it. So after that is that it will provide a pool of potential tenants, either through that process or even through other processes, whether it's a physical walk-in that came to property and so forth. So the other process that a feature that our solution provides is that now the property owner or manager is able to screen the tenant. The process of screening the tenant is very easy. So the tenant is supposed to provide particular details, like let's say your history with renting. So and the intention of it is to be able to verify, is it a good payer for rent? Is it a verifiable person that exists in the society? What is the what is the affordability of this tenant and so forth? So there are particular learnings that you're able to draw from this process of tenant screening. So I know we've had cases where people have rented their property to even members of the public who are not very not very popular and so forth.
And this I like what you're saying, because this kind of data could also even help the tenant themselves to showcase that they've been able to pay this. So they're able to pay even their loans and stuff.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we don't have that as data. It's very, very unique. Yeah.
Yes. So once we do that screening process, we ideally without authenticate the tenant. It's a good tenant. It's a suitable tenant for your property and so forth. We actually provide a scoring. So even the property owner or the property manager will have a score for that tenant in terms of how suitable are they to their property. Because remember, you want to make sure at the end of the day you're protecting the facility that you've invested a lot of money. You want to make sure that you have the right people there. So after that process, we definitely now we want to be able to allocate them a unit within the property.
Yes.
And like I said, we do it now using the system. So the system typically will have all your properties listed, will have all your units listed.
Yeah.
And then now once we allocate a tenant there, we'll be able to create a lease for them. Basically, the process of creating a lease is very simple. It depends on the payment schedule. Is it a 30-day? Is it a 60-day? Is it an annual lease? Then what are the utilities that are involved there? Is it rent, service charge, water? Do you have something like lift card? Do you have something like the very different utilities that people pay? Do you pay for parking? Do you pay for all these things? So we're able to incorporate all those elements into a lease. Now, once you create a lease, then you're able to specify what is the start date, what is the end date, what are the other legal fees that you need to pay, and so forth.
Yes.
And then now, once we do that, we have actually now created a tenant through the system. So the other phase will be what is your billing day. So then we will automate that process within the system. So what that means is that now if you bill at the end of every month, you'll not have to do anything. At the close of the period, the system automatically creates the bills for the tenants, it sends to them in their preferred channels, whether it's WhatsApp, message, or email, and then they pay. And then what we do now on the payment phase is that we look at it both on the collection aspect and then on the expenditure aspect. So the collection aspect, what we want to achieve is that we want to be able to explain every bill. So today, if 1,000 shows up in an account, you want to tell this 1,000.
Where did it come from?
So and so tenant, and it was paying for such and such thing.
Such a
So
thing.
we have done a priority ranking where you're able to tell this is what I'm paying for, and I pay for it in preference before this other thing. And then after we achieve that, we can completely explain these payments are coming from this place, they're being paid by this person. Finally, now we're able to avail an opportunity for this property owner to be able to move money from the platform. They're able to access their money and they can move it to anywhere they want.
Yeah.
They can move it
They
to
want
another
it to the
account.
M-Pesa.
Yeah, they can send it to the M-Pesa.
Yeah.
They can pay someone. They can pay a pay bill. They can pay a phone number and so forth.
Wow.
So that's kind of the journey that you take through. And of course, besides that is the aspect of communication. You can do reminders. You can do interactive exchanges of messages between your tenants and yourself.
Yeah.
You can communicate with them. You can mediate things like repairs and so forth. So there's a lot more that you can do. But to make it short, that's the kind of process that you're following. But for someone who understands management, we have actually touched every aspect of managing a property.
Awesome.
Solution.
www.keotopay.co.ke is
Yeah.
the website you need to go check out if you need to have this application for property management. Let's go back to the music. Coming right up is definitely Sanaipe Tande with the song Fama Mapenzi, and Fee will also be showing up with the song Taboo right here on Icon Radio, your number one entertainment plug.
Zangu zainuka kila anaponigusa, pumzi nazomiza niishia kila anaponidadisia, vile atanipenda, vile ataniroga, vile ataniliza, vile atanipenda, vile ataniroga, vile ataniliza, vile papasa. Ni dhahiri shairi, nimempata mfalme wa mapenzi, hamna mwingine akanibiaye mbingu zake. Nimempata mfalme wa mapenzi, hamna mwingine ila yeye anifae. Nimempata mfalme wa mapenzi, hamna mwingine akanibiaye mbingu zake. Nimempata mfalme wa mapenzi, hamna mwingine ila yeye anifae. Niwe radhi, si eti ni mara ya kwanza kufanya mapenzi, lakini bila shaka hamna mwingine kama yeye. Nimempata mfalme wa mapenzi, hamna mwingine akanibiaye mbingu zake. Nimempata mfalme wa mapenzi, hamna mwingine ila yeye anifae. Nimempata mfalme wa mapenzi, hamna mwingine akanibiaye mbingu zake. Nimempata mfalme wa mapenzi, hamna mwingine ila yeye aniliza. Ni dhahiri shairi. Niwe nahepa kukucheki, anipenda ye, nimemwacha nyumbani, ye hajui. Baby wanichanganya, zingua maliza, mimi sijiwezi. Ni makosa baby, forbidden fruit so sweet. Naenda, mimi sitabaki. Twajiweka shimoni, this is where we end, yeah, 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 yeah. 'Cause you're taboo. Kunishika mkono hivo, ninahisi mengi ila ninajua kuna kikomo. Si upendo ni mchezo, uongo si tumeamini. Najaribu kumpenda niye naye, go on and let me be. Naenda, mimi sitabaki. Twajiweka shimoni, this is where we end, yeah, 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 yeah. 'Cause you're taboo. Oh yeah, wewe ni taboo, 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 wewe ni taboo, taboo. 'Cause you're taboo. Shimoni, this is where we at. Yeah, 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 yeah. 'Cause you're taboo. Oh yeah, wewe ni tabu, 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 tabu. Wewe ni tabu, tabu. 'Cause you're taboo. Oh yeah, wewe ni tabu, 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 tabu. Wewe ni tabu, tabu.
Oh, it's Fee right there with the song Taboo. Where did she go? I really miss her. Play right on Icon Radio, #1 entertainment plug. Hang out with me, KANG'ETHE NJOROGE. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's Money Mondays, and of course, we're here talking about your money. Today, we're talking about automation of business, of property management. Hang out with Paul Macharia, the CEO and founder of KANG'ETHE, a company that does end-to-end property management. Yeah, I got it right. Sadi Sana for coming to the studio and telling us more about automation of property management. Now, the last time we were speaking about your company and how you started, and the many times that you tried, and now you're nearing the end of MVP. Yes, if I understand.
Yeah,
it. How many employees do you have in your company?
So at the moment we are 10.
Yeah. 10 people?
Yeah, 10 people.
Those are many people for an SME.
It depends on how far you want to go to.
And what is the future? How does the future look for you?
So for us, the future is that we hyper focused in property. So we've been in property for some time.
Yeah.
We want to be able to be a voice for transformation in the entire sector. So management is our first phase, but eventually we want to have impact in the entire property. So we want to be able to look more deeply in future, ideally data driven, towards now other elements of real estate, whether it's the selling phase or the development phase, and maybe the construction phase towards the end. So we want to be able to leverage on data and technology to be able to also create improvements in these areas as well. And then as a business, we're looking again at expanding in other African cities. Like I mentioned, this is not a problem. This is a problem that is not unique to Kenya
only.
But it's very common in other African cities. It's said that you'll not imagine, but about 40,000 people migrate to African cities every day. So like today, 40,000 people came from rural areas to African cities. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
And that is definitely also a problem, because on the other side, that is good business for you.
Yeah.
But on the other side, we have left all our grandfathers to be the ones farming, and that's why you see like an average farmer in Africa is 60 years old. I mean, and of course the development in terms of property in the rural areas is not as growing as what is going on in urban centers. It's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. I don't know. It's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time.
Yeah.
But tell me, where do you see the future of automation in Africa, or in property management in Africa? I know that there are a lot of things coming in. I've seen people using blockchain. I've seen the government trying to, automate the land registry, which is definitely a mess right now.
Yeah.
What do you think about such things?
I think as we go by, acceptability for innovation in real estate is improving over time. So like I mentioned, we've now technology finding its way in very non-traditional spaces in real estate. So again, looking at the newer methods for development or for construction phase, whether it's materials made from recycling plastics, their plastics panels, roof tiles, then we have panels for building that are either increasing the speed of construction, the cost of it, the efficiency of it, achieving better accuracy in terms of the structure integrity of the properties and so forth. So there's quite a lot of technology happening within even now that construction phase, and that has an implication on the final end of that product. How affordable is it? How suitable is it? And so forth. So we've companies that are developing these technologies, majorly from the Western countries, but they're finding their way here in Kenya. We have some local companies that have come up with these technologies. We have the EPS technology that actually uses EPS basically is that technology that uses almost it's a lightweight material. It's like this material that people put in cartons to be able to carry things like radios. It's actually that material that is used. It's reinforced with concrete on the side and a mesh, and then it's used even to construct a story building. So it's very light. It's very light. You can do it much faster.
Is it cheaper?
Yeah, it's definitely way cheaper. But of course, initially what happens with these technologies, because they're also dependent on demand. So if they're able to, the more units they're able to move, the cheaper it becomes to actually manufacture those components. So the affordability of it, definitely the wrong land, it's going to be much more affordable than ordinary concrete. But these are technologies that now are beginning to find adoption. So what happens is that now a house that would have taken 6 months takes like 3 weeks to construct, and the integrity of it is much better, and it's still sustainable and suitable over a long time. So that is just on the construction phase. Again, looking at the ownership, and you've seen our own government like on investment towards affordability, whether it's on affordable housing, whether it's giving incentives that drive more adoption. The government is also encouraging our adoption of these alternative methods to be able to make construction cheaper and affordable. And then looking at again, and that is just on the affordability part of it, we have other properties that now have been built on top of technologies that have been built on top of blockchain. Like fractional ownership, where now that property is tokenized, or ideally it's created in a form of tokens that people can now own a piece of that property. So and they're getting accepted. I mean, there are companies that CMA is incorporating.
I mean, like REITs, VUCA. Is it VUCA by Stanley? iREITs.
We have Alpha Block. There are quite a number of them, and that even within the bank, the market where the consumers are. So the consumers are beginning to appreciate that I can own a fraction of something rather than owning it,
as a
owning
whole.
the entire asset myself, because that means that you're able to spread the risk between different parties, and again you're able to invest as per your capability. So instead of waiting for 20 years
to own
a piece of property, you can do it. And we have actually like rent to own model. It's mediated by technology. And we have even projects by popular real estate companies that are based on that. So besides that, we have other technologies that are applied on driving now tenancy, like augmented reality. Ideally, what this means is that a very good experience is available to these tenants prior committing to maybe that property. Because it's always like conceal more information, don't show everything. But right now, because people are more keen to what people want, what tenants want. So you can be able to give a remote run through your property remotely, and this is using AR.
So you don't really have to go to the property itself.
You can actually walk to every room, but now you're doing it behind a screen. So you're able to see how the rooms look like. You're able to see the direction of sunlight.
And definitely this is very good for people in the diaspora who are planning to buy property in Kenya.
So this is both it tries for rentals properties, but also for properties for purchase. So you can have that remote experience, and you can appreciate how the property looks like even before physically getting there. And then and there's many more. Like I spoke about, like one of the things we've done at KANG'ETHE is that we've integrated with a leasing website. So what that means is that for a very long time, and I know you might have a friend or two who have either been conned because they paid for a property that didn't exist, or someone
oh my god, I almost got conned like this. I almost got conned, and it was it was a very good. So I found this number. You know those numbers that are normally on the street. So I'm like, I'm in an area where I wanted to get in. So I called the number. They're like, hey, yeah, we do have land. We do have this. It's this amount of money. I was like, it's too cheap for this kind of house. I'm like, okay, send me pictures. Send me very nice pictures. Like, this is too good to be true. And then the person behind is telling me, you know, I'm the owner of the property. I'm the owner of the property, so there's no need. There are no agents, because of course we don't like agents. There are no agents, so I will be the one, you know, so we can, you know. And they were really good. They're telling me, okay, this house is about to. I've gotten like 2 or 3 more people who've called, so the first come first serve basis. I'm like, wow, I was this close. If I was
too excited,
if I was too excited, I'd have lost money. And all the time I'm like, okay, so I need to come and see it, so just come. And every time they call, they're like, hey, I'm in a meeting, I'm somewhere, just have you paid? Just pay, and then when I come, you will see it. And then after a while, their phones never went on, and that's how I would have been conned a lot of my money.
You know what happens in that space? There are 2 things. One, so today if I list a property on a listing website, and of course the intention is that I want to get a tenant. So the moment I get that tenant, even else from another source, let's say a referral and so forth, I have no motivation to go pull down my posts that I've done in that listing website.
Yes.
So what happens is that in the long run, you end up having a lot of inaccurate or outdated data on this listing website. Okay. The other issue is that over time, even the listing website can't keep tabs with, let's say they have 1,000 or 1,200 a listing. They can't tell which house was occupied, which house was not occupied, and so forth. So what technology does is that now it allows integration with a system like ours. So what happens once we integrate with a listing site, that means that the responsibility of posting the property will be fully automated. So immediately a property has gone vacant on one of our clients' properties listed on our platform, it shows up immediately. And the day it's occupied, the day you within my system or within that system you're using as a property owner, the day you allocate a tenant, it's automatically pulled from the site. Automatically.
Wow.
And it has a clear Google pin. So even the person looking at that post on that website can be able to tell where is the property exactly in. Because what happens is that we have a lot of people leveraging on that gap. So you ask for 20,000, 5,000, 2,000 before you even view the property. Then you realize the property is not suitable, or even worse still, like your case.
Spent so much. Listen, this is interesting, because every time you're looking for a place, there's always, because it's so hard. Looking for property in Nairobi is so hard. So you have to go to look for an agent, and then that agent they have to charge you
fast.
And then they tell you, oh, there's a property, but you have to, and then you go and you find out you didn't have. So you have to keep on paying and paying before you get to the right. It's chaos.
I mean, I was chaos. I mean, I was in real estate. I remember there was one time I was moving. And it took me about 3 months to find a house. Guess where I found it?
3 months.
Yeah, it was less than a kilometer away
from where you were
living. Yet I paid guys even in different areas
only to check it out.
And of course, by the time I settled in the house, I had paid a lot of money. I mean, studying the process, I realized sometimes you'll be told it's 100 meters from the road.
It's
2
not.
kilometers from the road and so forth. And this is one of the areas really impact that technology is helping address. Because eventually, I mean, there's no need of having a so-called broker to mediate that process, because someone can go to that listing site that is fed using real-time data from QATP. They can be able to see all the units. So all the units coming out of my system, you can be guaranteed, ideally they have the right owner, they exist, the pricing there is the legit one, and so forth.
That's surprising, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, great. What are other emerging technologies that are getting in the market?
So other emerging technology. The other might be the IoT.
Yeah.
And IoT is ideally, you're looking at IoT devices, basically that are able to communicate with each other within a space.
Yeah.
So whether you're looking at power devices, you're looking at water devices. For instance, is your property, for instance, if you've done proper metering for proper IoT devices, you're able to save on energy.
Yeah.
Because you can define when you want your lights to be on.
Yeah.
You can define which appliances you want to be on. Today, even if you put solar and you have it's supported by IoT, is much more effective because you have lower power wastage or lower water wastage.
Yeah.
I'll give you like a practical case. Like now, there are people who buy houses basically to put them on Airbnb. And let's say someone is living in UK, is a buyer in diaspora, and this house is being it has random guests who go to it through Airbnb. So what happens is that at the end of the day, they're the ones who are taking care, is the owner who's taking care of power and taking care of water. So depending on the kind of guest that you have, the guest will leave all the lights on, the guest will leave water running and so forth. So in the end, if you're making use of IoT devices, you're able to monitor both how the consumption is happening.
Yeah.
So for instance, if every night after this guy takes a shower, he leaves the shower
lights on,
and then he leaves the tap running, leaves another device running and so forth. So you can be able to define what you want to be operational, what you don't want to be operational at particular time. You can choose specific times to switch off some devices and so forth. So you find at the end of it all, you've been able to save on your energy consumption. You've been able to have better control and better monitoring of how your utilities are being spent.
Yeah.
And in the long run, your investment is more safeguarded, so you have better returns for your investment. So these are practical cases in which IoT is having an impact on property. Because sometimes we talk about IoT, it looks as if it's so far-fetched.
It looks crazy.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Let's talk about your entrepreneurship journey. What is a major lesson you've learned in entrepreneurship? And this is for someone who is listening and has an idea but does not know where to start. What are some of the greatest lessons you've learned through your journey?
I think one would be, I think there's never a perfect time to start. I think it's a Chinese proverb. That says the best time to, I think, cut a tree was yesterday. The other best time is today. I don't know. Maybe something of the sort.
I've had it,
Yeah. So technically what that means is that you will never be too ready to begin the entrepreneurship journey. I always say it's always best to begin from where you are. One of the biggest challenge there is when people create things only to realize there was no market for them.
Yeah.
We created the wrong solution. You realize some of the best products as we know them today, they began either as different products or it was just a mere chance that they came to be. Whether we are talking about Twitter was a podcast.
Yeah.
Whether Slack today is one of the most popular tool in the tech ecosystem.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an internal tool that people created to be able to help them create another product that ended up failing. Facebook was made for campers. I mean,
it was a project.
Yeah, I mean, guys who are just experimenting and all that. So whether it's something intentional or something that you've bumped into, I think the one distinguishing factor is that you have to begin. Then the second thing is, after you begin, I think one of the most important qualities of entrepreneurship is resilience. And resilience is being able to make sure that you're not getting stuck. I mean, a lot of things are thrown at you, especially when you begin, because the practical case is that you will meet 90% of things that you didn't expect on your journey. I mean, it's always harder. You always take more time than you hoped for. You always require more resources than you imagine. I mean, it's when you're beginning a business, you expect that customers are going to be knocking at your door every other day. But in most cases, they're not. That is not usually the case. Yeah. So you have to build the muscle for resilience. You have to cultivate the ability not to get stuck, the ability to make sure that you're flexible enough to keep, like I mentioned, whether it's iterating on the product, whether it's changing the approach that you're doing on the market, whether it's reviewing the plans that you had, whether sometimes it's even changing direction altogether. But you have to be that flexible, making sure that you keep learning, you keep adopting as you go. And perhaps the final thing would be that I think you can't do these things without a bit of hope. You have to hope that things will get better.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that the number one champion or number one cheerleader has to be yourself. So you have the ability to make sure that you keep yourself motivated for what you're building. Because what happens is that just like the cycles of life, the cycles of business, so sometimes things are tough, other times are a bit easier, but you really have to make sure that you keep going no matter what.
You keep going no
you
matter
keep going,
what.
You keep going no
Let's
matter
talk
what.
about funding. And I know that your business needed a lot of money to start. Did you have this money?
So I would say, well, funding is a very interesting topic.
Because I think what I've heard from a lot of entrepreneurs is that yes, they have ideas, but they don't know how to fund these ideas.
Technically, to be very honest, no one is going to fund a mere idea. An investor needs to see what they call traction. And traction does not always mean making money. Traction means
having people using your products.
Not really, but having taken that. How many steps have you taken towards a business? And for a fact, you don't need money to start. Because if today I'm a tenant, I don't need money to talk to my landlord. I perhaps not need money to talk to the other 3 landlords. I don't actually need even to build to be able to tell whether people need my product or not. Because you can either use the skill that you have to do the simple thing that you can do, whether it's doing your research or ideally your market research to be able to understand the needs of your client, whether it's getting people to sign up for a potential product that you're creating. People even get sign-ups even before they have created the product. There are a lot of things that you could potentially do before even you start quote-unquote spending money. And it's always, even an investor wanting to fund you, they want to feel like you have skin in the game. So they will ask you, so how much money have you put in? The problem is sometimes you want to keep your 100K, your 200K on the side, probably invest in something else, buy a plot, start a roadside shop or something else. But you have your startup of this other side.
You don't want to spend.
A
you
coin.
Want to get someone else to fund you.
Yeah.
I
think that's a problem.
Yeah.
So we must be willing to be the first believers of our own ideas. And that speaks a lot about our mindset, because we sometimes are comfortable about investing in conventional classes of property.
Yeah.
But we're not so much optimistic about investing in our own ideas, new ideas.
Yeah.
So I say that should be your first, your first line of defense. That is where you put your money first. Before you get someone else, commit something. Yeah, commit something
to your ideas.
Because eventually, people, if you buy in your idea long enough and passionate enough, other people are going to see it, and eventually they're going to commit funding into it.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, again, it's looking at the bottom line. The bottom line is that you want to make sure that you're operational. You want to make sure that you're keeping your cost low. So what can you do? Whether is instead of me, today, assuming I'm not a tech person, I need someone to build. Instead of paying that person, why don't I go and propose I give them part of my shares? They build it for free or even at a cheaper cost.
Yeah.
So whichever way you look at it, you should never get stuck that you're waiting for money in order for you to start, because it's always something that you can do to get to that level that you can get an investor invest in your business. But even in cases, because yes, we talk about funding in Kenya, but the statistics are still very low. You realize that there are thousands of startups that are coming up every other year, but how many of them are getting funded? Whether we are talking about that number being 200 or so, but it's still way below the average number of people that are starting startups out there. And it's possible for you to build your startup even without external funding. And I'm not saying that because I have not been funded. I will be very unfair to say that I've not received external help, but I can say that there's a lot that you can actually do without funding.
Without funding.
Because money doesn't, if you pour money into a wrong vehicle, I mean, it doesn't help. It just accelerates the death process. But actually, a business that was intended to fail, even with money, it will fail. And fail terribly in that case. Yeah. The bigger bang.
The business that was intended to fail will fail eventually.
Yeah.
No matter how much money
you pour into it.
And we've seen a lot of those cases, especially last year in Kenya, with a lot of a couple of startups that received so much funding, but then they decided, tumemaliza, we are done.
But I must say something before we come out of that point.
Yes.
Ideally, I mean, there's chances of, if you look at the statistics, the probability of a business failing is very high. I say entrepreneurship is one of the riskiest paths that you can choose
of life
as a person. I mean, if you don't like risk, get employed, get a job, build your career. But if you want a bit more trouble, you can come to entrepreneurship. It's not the safest of the places. So even with money or without money, it's still much safer to be employed.
It is. Oh, trust me, it is. But I am an entrepreneur, so I understand how many times I give up and I'm like, you know what? Tomorrow I am looking for a job. Yeah. All right. So your last sentiments as you go, what is that one or last advice you'd give an entrepreneur? And thank you so much for being here with us.
So I think for entrepreneurship, I would say, I think we need more entrepreneurs. We need more support locally.
Do you feel like the government really supports entrepreneurs in Kenya?
I think it could do more. But actually, it's more us Kenyans being able to support entrepreneurs in this sense that we should be ready to buy
Kenya, build Kenya.
Buy Kenya, build Kenya.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of spending, let's say 10 million acquiring a system like ours outside the country, why don't you come to KANG'ETHE?
Yes.
Instead of you exporting something, why don't you go to a local manufacturer who can actually make the same component? So it's more of the culture, our own culture. I mean, we have people with money even in this country. We have people coming from the Western world to come and fund local startups. But we have people who have actually channeled that money in the local ecosystem and get even better returns than that money being in a conventional asset, being externally kept somewhere in Cayman's Island or something. So there's a lot of support that you can get locally, both from one another. So being able to trust other people to create things for us, being able to work with them that journey. And of course, it calls us even entrepreneurs to go after excellence, to go after better, more suitable product, more long lasting and so forth. But majorly is us creating that culture of being able to grow our own ecosystem. So being able to buy from Kenya, being able to encourage one another to get into entrepreneurship. Because today, if 10 people are employed by KANG'ETHE and potentially they could not be elsewhere, so that means it's 10 people without jobs. So if 10 of other people, entrepreneurs, are able to get to that level, they can employ, let's say, 50, 100. So we are solving the unemployment problem in the country. There's a lot more we can achieve just by being able to not even fund, but just buy from one another. Just encourage that kind of journey.
All right, let's buy from one another. Buy Kenya, build Kenya. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, sir, for coming. Those were amazing stuff, and we wish you the very best. How to reach you? 07230725
538
0725
750
or they can go to our website. That's www.kyotope.co.ke and get your company or your property managed properly and automated. From me to you is peace. Thank you so much for tuning in. We meet the same place, same time next week, of course, with great guests. Great guests definitely on your way. Finishing us off this show is none other but than Camp Mula with the song Feel No Pain. Enjoy this only on Icon Radio #1 Entertainment Plug. Do not forget to join the Jam Breakfast tomorrow morning with Myra Maloba in the Hazel from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. But from me to you, it's peace and enjoy the night. Dance.
scandalous.
Oh shoot, here we go again. Same shoot. Only now she's saying how she so through with me. Girl, this how you gonna be doing me? It was all cool when you was doing me, and I had you rocking on that Louis V. Now she done lost it, telling me how it don't cost you. Damn. So tell me what you want, cause all you wanna do is front. Like wait, hold up, stop it. Girl, you talking too much, just drop it. She's going on and on, all up in my text, going through my phone. Man, this shit just ain't the same.
Boy, I don't feel no pain. Yeah.
She said,
I'm sorry, but this time it ain't the same. Ain't playing no silly game.
she said,
I just wanna do my own thing. I'm calling all my girls tonight. We go party till the morning light. Boy, I don't feel no pain. I don't feel no pain. So you can meet me on the
Dance flow. Dance.
meet me on the
Dance flow. Dance.
you can meet me on the meet me on the
Yeah, shit happens, thought you were mine. What we had was magic. Yeah, it took time, but you just can't manage. Used to have shine, but I guess that vanished. My bad, got a little upset, but I did not lie, and she said I did. Ain't that some shit? Plus we split, sure I got a loving that she can't forget. Damn straight, saw her face, looking like she feeling for that love she missed. Ooh, that's it, scratch that script. I'll be out here looking for my next chick. To the exit goes my ex-chick. Stack her in the pile just like Tetris. Oh shit, I'm painless too. No matter love, well, I guess that's true.
Dance flow. Dance.
meet me on the
Dance flow. Dance.
you can meet me on the
Dance.
meet me on the
Up to date, I'm the strongest. Up in the club with the wrong chick. Shout out Camula as the world spins. Right in my hand with your girl's rings. Okay, I'm mad. And she know about that. Say he danced with the devil cause his clothes stay black. But your talk so whack cause I'm blind to a hater. Zoom on a rector. So excuse me, miss. All the kids call me tripper, but I'm ludicrous. And hits make big money off of stupid shit. Living life on the road, but I'm used to it. And it's okay. Always knew that things were gonna change. God bless the game. Good things will come, but
boy,
first
I
we'll
don't feel
pay.
no pain. Yeah.
she said,
I'm sorry, but this time it ain't the same. Ain't playing no silly game.
she said,
I just want